Joe, good morning. How are you today, man?
I'm good. How are you? Happy New
I'm
Year.
good. Happy New Year to you, man. I think today's got to be everybody's all excited on New Year's Eve. You're excited. New Year's Day, you're getting through whatever you decided to do New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But January 2nd, this is like the day where this is the downer day, right? You got to go back to work. You got to go back to school.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Your past 2 weeks of doing nothing productive, or being very productive in other ways, but the lack of routine is back suddenly, and nobody knows what day it is. It feels like it's a Monday, but it's a Thursday. So all that stuff, man. Are you feeling all that?
Yeah. I mean, it's the getting back. It's like, we've had all the fun, and now your life isn't that fun anymore. It's getting back to what it was. So
Yeah.
but there is a sense of like newness, though. I think.
Yeah. Do you have a new energy?
Oh, yeah. There's a yeah. I take it to heart. Definitely. I go. Okay, this is a new year. And that's so weird because it's just another day. It's a complete construct in our brains.
Right.
It's just days upon days upon days. Now, if you were to think about it that way, then you'd ultimately be really depressed. But I do.
You think you need the calendar to and I mean this seriously, that's interesting. So instead of this just being like life being, I don't know, how many days do we get on this planet? 50, 30,000? I don't know, whatever it is.
Think of it that way, it might create a problem for you psychologically, I think.
I really do maybe there's something to that. I like the seasons. That's what I like there being defined seasons. And in Florida, that was one thing that I was like, I got no seasons here, man. Now, right now, in the next 8 days, I think the high is going to be 9. So I'm second guessing my season opinion at the moment, but that's something
we're getting what they're calling an Arctic blast in the
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
But I mean, actually, it's going to get down into the 30s in Florida.
Good for you. I hope it goes well. I'll be praying for you. Thoughts and prayers, my friend.
Please. Now, what did you do this past week? How was did you celebrate? So marking off days, marking off years. It is. I think it is a construct. Except, I mean, I guess the seasons in some locations, it's going to be. That'll mark off the year itself. But if you were to think of it as days upon days upon days upon days, and there was no break to it, there was no reflection, there's no looking forward, looking backward, that kind of thing. What do you mark this off? What did you do this past week? What was your thing?
My thing was not that much. I actually mostly kept working. Like I say, I'd been sick, and I'm not trying to play that out over dramatically, but getting caught up from that is a real challenge. So got my feet back under me on that. Construction on the car wash conversion that starts tomorrow. So I've been looking forward to that, and it would have started sooner, but I forget that people, there's a holiday for a reason. People take some time off. The things slow down. You can want to be as productive as you want, but if you need other people involved, you just gotta wait a little bit. And especially when there's like government inspectors involved, like that's going nowhere fast. So
right. So what starts tomorrow?
It's not that well. Saying construction gets underway sounds a lot more exciting than saying, well, we frame a door. Tomorrow we frame a door, and the door is ordered. It's coming from Tennessee, but we'll block off the hallway entrance to one of the bays. And once I do that, then I can start disassembling like the sprayer, like the car wash specific stuff. I could start taking down. And then the wall framing will go up on the existing concrete block wall. The framing will go up, and then the spray foam insulation goes in, and then from there it'll go pretty quick. The sheetrock will get in. We got to put in some electrical outlets and whatnot, and I'm hoping to have the rodents in there in a month to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
be on that. So we'll see. But you asked about New Year's though. I went sideways on you. I used to love it, and I used to when I was playing in that band with Spade, which I did for since 07. So I mean, it's a long time, 16 years, 17 years. We always had New Year's Eve gigs. It was a blast. It was fun. It was optimistic. You know, when you're single, you're finding somebody to kiss at midnight. You know, you got the dreams and the anticipation of the year ahead of you.
Right. Yeah.
And man, now I'm like, ooh, I'm in the central time zone. I can see the ball drop at 11 o'clock and pack it in, call it a night.
Pack it in. Is that what you did?
Yeah, it's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I'm the little Auld Lang Syne and went to bed, man. I like where I live because it's like the cities are close and they're there if I want it. And then it's otherwise it's fairly certainly suburban and then borderline rural and some parts of where I live. And I normally like that. But when it comes to like going out and, you know, having drinks or being in the middle of places having drinks, it's 35, 40 minutes up an interstate in the middle of winter up to the cities. Like I'm not going out. Like it's
right.
Happen, you know.
That's something that I noticed about myself actually just yesterday. It was like I've become definitely more insular. Like staying in my house more, not going places, not wanting to be around too many people. I think one year I went out somewhere. I think I saw a comedy show for New Year's Eve. But usually on New Year's Eve, I just stay in the house. And sometimes we have people over, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have a small thing, sometimes it's more people. But I got sick this past week. So
you got it. It's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
You doing all right?
But it wasn't COVID, it was flu. I got the flu this past week. And so I was just laid up for a couple of days. It started on Saturday, I took Aiden and his buddy out fishing, and when I was out fishing, I was like, "Yeah, there's something wrong with me.
Something ain't right." Yeah,
I gotta get somewhere. So I got a test and everything, and then the rest of Saturday was terrible, just pain in my head and face. It was awful. And then the next couple of days, I was kind of quarantined in my my guest room.
in your lair. Oh yeah, I'm familiar. You got the little room. You didn't even get like the office up front there, huh? You got the stuff right in the back. Huh?
It was too close to other people. So, and I really didn't want anybody to get this because it was pretty bad. It was really I was really struggling.
And well, we know the man flu, the flu strikes men. I mean, we really suffer when we get the flu, man. I know that.
Right. It was so, my face hurt so bad. I was putting like ice on my face. It was so bad.
Geez, I'm sorry you went through that. You look like you're. I didn't catch it. It looks like you're coming back on the up and up though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, now it's just kind of tired. I'm just getting tired. I think you texted me last night, and I was like already in bed at like 8:30 or whatever.
You were like, "There will not be show prep, pal. I'm in bed." I'm like, "All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow. I hope you're ready."
I mean, usually I am up for New Year's Eve, and even if it's just a small group, we have a blast and it's really fun. But this year, I was in bed and we were just watching it, and then we went to sleep. It was nothing to speak of. And the thing is, this was always kind of one of my favorite holidays because
I always like the optimism, the new year, the anticipation, and kind of, it's a good night. It is a good night to go out. Like if it's around you, like it's always a good night to go out. But
and I may have said this when we did this show last year. It was always like a big thing it was a big party that my grandmother put together when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
and so my grandmother would have I don't know. It seemed like when I was a kid, it seemed like it was 100 people.
Right. Yeah.
Just the house was just packed with people. But we started. I'm from a Catholic family, and my uncle was is a priest, and so we'd start with mass in the living room.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we'd sit around and we'd go through, and it would be at 8 p.m. and we'd say mass together, and then we'd have a party afterwards. And it
I
was
was going to
such a
say that the Catholics have no problem having a part. Like you can do them both. You can intermix you can intermix all the fun. You can have the party right with it.
That's
right.
what it was. And like like I really appreciate that. There's all different brands of Christianity and Catholicism.
That's true.
I appreciated my brand of Catholicism it wasn't like people think of mass as like this solemn, I'm going to spend time being quiet with, but in my family, at least for that night, it was a celebration. It was a celebration of the year that just happened and a year looking forward. And
yeah,
that's the reading for the day. I don't want to get into what the reading is every year, but it's about reflection. It's about like thinking about what just happened and then thinking it forward and going, wow, there's some great things that are coming our way. So I thought marrying those every year when I was a kid, it was just such a seminal experience for me.
that is cool. I never got into it. Well, I never had the surrounding to get into it that much, but yeah, we always, it was always a big deal as a kid to be like, it's midnight, 10, 9,
yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, I got to get up.
We did the pots and we danced for like an hour. It's great. It was great. But not this year. No, I was kind of laid up.
Well, and it feels like sometimes like the benchmark ones, like we lived through the turn of the century. I remember like there was like the Y2K bug that was going to end the world, and that was a big disappointment. God, they like on the one hand, brilliant marketing. On the other hand, like deliver a little something. Like there should have been a little bit of turmoil. There was nothing. Everything was fine. It was
so everybody talked about it leading up to that day.
It was like genuinely scary. Yeah, you were like,
and it was all because there were like
the zeros.
The zeros.
2 zeros versus 4, so it wouldn't know that it was 2000 versus 1900. For all you kids, like there was like this like legitimate panic, like it's kind of like Anyway, I was gonna. Never mind. I won't say that. But it was some end of world mayhem in our heads at the time. So, yeah.
Have you done any reflecting?
Yeah. I like looking back. One thing I like. So I think most people, as we age, years go by quicker. I remember when I was a kid, if you told me something was 3 years away, I was like, well, that's I will never get there. And now it's like, okay, that's not that bad, or not that far. But what I have this, I think most people know this part of my story. My mother passed away of cancer when she was 59. And that's been 15 years ago in my life, which I can't quite get my head around either, but that's a whole different story. But I have this, like, I feel like there's like this ticking clock in my head. Like I could like knock off at any moment. And would I be satisfied? Would I be a haunted ghost if I, look back as a ghost on my life and what I've left and all of that? And would I be satisfied? And the answer is no right now. And we don't need to go into the whole psychoanalysis of Adam's crazy mind, but I have this urgency, and what I love doing looking back, because a year can feel like that right now. But like I went back and I looked at our resolution show from last year, or one of the things I love about this whole YouTube thing is there's like this diary of documentation. Now I don't sit there and like relive, wow, that was a great March, but I can go back and I can go, like I was looking at like guests. It gets harder to book 52 guests on Tuesday night throughout the year, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, it's been a year and a half since so-and-so was on, and it feels like it was yesterday. And so there's this like, holy cow, that went fast. On the other hand, holy cow, we got so much done. Like I was looking at old episodes, and it's only been like, the audience will know a little bit more what I'm talking about than you will, Joe. It's only been a year since Stephen, shout out Leviathan Snakes, Stephen and Courtney. It's only been a little bit over a year since they released their 15 Minutes of Lame documentary. That seemed like this massive momentous thing that has been around forever now. I mean, they sent out really cool promos, signed copies, DVDs, you know, posters, all of that. And it was really well done. If you guys haven't seen it, you should go see it. But it's only been a year. And like, same with my rodents. Like I really have only had them like even owned them for a little bit over a year, but it seemed like it's such a massive part of what I do and who I am now professionally. So I do like that. And I like to bring it all the way full circle. What I was talking about with my mom, I need that sometimes to go, hey, Adam, you're doing a lot, dude. Like you're getting your stuff in, like, you don't, and then that leads to a whole other thing of like, you go through the rational stuff. Like, hey, just because that happened to your mother doesn't mean that you're going to be dead in 15 years. And you don't have to have like your foot on the pedal all the time. But I like it a little bit, you know? So anyway,
I think you do like it. Yeah.
I do.
It's motivating. I don't think, I mean, you have a personality that does that. I don't think that's I don't know if it's not uncommon. I don't think that everybody would have that kind of reaction to their parents passing away or at such a young age, you know. So I wonder if it's more ingrained in you, but I completely understand it. Yes, and I think there is like an impending end to our life, even as we grow older, even if we don't have that experience.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I'm like entitled to it from my sorrow.
No.
Like, hey, guess what, Adam? That everybody's got something that drives them bonkers. Yeah.
I think it does. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I definitely know what you're talking about. And even so, this whole flu thing that I had this past week, there was a moment, I guess every once in a while, the flu can give you like heart palpitations.
Oh, yeah.
I looked that up because
Did you go full like George Costanza? You're like, I'm dying. I'm having a.
Well, I did something like I was like, I'm feeling okay. I'll go and like, I think I like took a shower or something like that. And then I got back into bed and like, I felt my heart in my chest and in my neck and everything. And I was like, I just have to lie here. And I got real like worried, scared. It was
you get real religious real fast, right? When you're like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And it was like, I'm gonna get really healthy. And go to the doctor.
I'm done with it all. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm changing my ways. I'm going straight. Yeah, man. It's amazing.
You have those moments. Yeah. And then, but you have those. So let me ask you this, and maybe it's too early in the morning for this kind of stuff, but if you were to go right now, like, would it be like, I had a good run?
No, I'd be pissed. I'd be furious. I have dreams I want to see. No, I'm serious. I really would. Like, I want to see my son grow up. I want, there's experiences I still want to have with Kelly. There's things that we've we've done the right stuff. Like we've worked our asses off and we've made like good decisions. We've done the right things. I want those returns, man. I'm not done. Don't. Today ain't the day, man. And maybe it is. You never know these things. But and all joking aside, like not even joking, but like we all hear the cliches of what we're not entitled to another day, or God forbid, somebody was standing in New Orleans at that right moment, or that wrong moment, I should say. You don't know, but no, I'd be I would be a furious ghost right now if today were the day. I need a little more time. Yeah.
I felt that way too when this heart palpitation thing
Yeah, you're like, this isn't gonna cut it right
was
now.
like, wait, hang on a
Get
second.
the hell away from me. Yeah. Stay back. Yeah.
So, but it's funny. There have been moments in my life where I've been like, yeah, I could go now. It's all right. It's good. It's all right. But the thing is, there were probably moments when before I was even like when I was really young, like 30, 31, 32 or so. And I didn't have like a death wish. I was just like, where am I at right now in my life? Would it be okay if did I have like a good run, you know? And I felt then, yeah, that's fine. But then I started to get involved with like Chelsea and Raleigh and Aiden, and the more of the things that you kind of invest in for the future, the less you feel like you're ready to go.
No, I
which
agree.
Is such a weird, it's a weird concept, because it's actually kind of a nice place to go, I don't want for anything, you know, I don't need, I don't need the, you know, to live a long life or do something. I'm okay right now. I did everything that I've really, not everything that I wanted to do, but I took advantage of life as it came to me. And that's the only thing I could have done. And that was long ago. And now the more that I invest in things, you know, not in terms of finances, but in terms of, you know, being involved in them.
That's right.
And loving them. And the more I go, no, I got to stick around here.
Yeah, that I get it. I do remember there was a time where like I wasn't like, oh, I'll be happy if but it was definitely like a, you know, today could be the day. And but then like you're right. Yeah, you start investing is a good word. But like you got more seeds that you want to see grow. You got more dreams that seem attainable. Like if you told me when I was 25 that whatever I'm doing now is attainable, I'd have been like, this is A, it's ridiculous, and B, I don't think that's true. And now it's like, oh yeah, watch this, and now watch where I'm gonna go too, you know. And but there's also little things like I had a conversation with a buddy this week, and they were like, you know, we should do some music this year. We'll talk about it and blah blah blah. And he mentioned a couple songs we could cover or whatever, and like. And immediately I was like, yeah, I want to do this. But one of the things he said was like, well, if nothing else, if we get hit by a bus, at least we'll have some, we'll have you know, recordings of what we are and what we do. And I was like, well, since you put it that way, but it was a cool moment because one of the songs that he named just conversationally, he had no idea. I was like, that is one of like my favorite top 10 songs. And I've never had the guts to sing it because it's a difficult song. And I was like, all right, time to focus on this. I'm going to work on this. So I know that all sounds mysterious, but I can't give more details. I'm not going to because because up to right now, it actually totally sucks. Like I had to figure out a new key. I had to work out a new arrangement because there's a reason I never sang it. It's difficult. So, but all that is to say, I don't know, something in me, there was a switch that flipped where like having dreams and visions and seeing things through and all of that changed my perspective that, I got more cooking in the kitchen to do, man. Like we're not dying down. No, not done yet. So,
now the thing is, do you, so
it adds a little drama. I got to say the flu adds a little drama for you, Joe.
Do you think this is another thing then? Do you go, would I have more impact on the people around me if I passed away now than if I hung around for the next 40 years?
No,
kind of thoughts, these are the kinds of thoughts that I have when I'm lying in bed with the flu.
Yeah, So, well, this is going to get dark for a minute. So, I've had two people that were very close to me that took their own lives, and I think that thought process is probably part of what led to that. And so it's very sad to me. But no, I think everybody has value to give while they're here. And I know what you mean about those thoughts. Like, what would be the ripple effects if I was gone at this moment?
Yeah.
But I just wanted everybody to know that I think that they are valuable and have a place in this world, and that there is a value and benefit and more good and more all of those things, from spiritual to physical to personal relationships. Like, time can solve stuff, but you got to give yourself the time to solve those things. And so no, I am a firm believer that being here is better, is me.
Yeah. I would agree. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I know you didn't mean it. I know you meant it more in a facetious, like lay in bed in a flu way. But no, one of the things, there's and again, some of these are personal conversations, but there's a few people this year that even said to me, like, I don't know, I would have basically I sent somebody a note, or I placed a phone call, because at this point in my life, if I think somebody is in a rough place or hurting or anything like that, in the past, I might have been like, they'll work it out. They're figuring it out. I don't think I can save somebody or change the world, but I do want to, if somebody needs to wonder if anybody cares, I don't want to be the person that doesn't care. And I say that because of the experience with those two guys. There were times that I saw them hurting where you just go, I don't know, like, I'm the guy, I'll go have a drink and I'll figure out stuff, or somebody else will smoke a joint and they'll go figure it out, or we all cope in weird ways. And that's what I thought those guys were going through, but they were going through something completely different. And they didn't come back from that. And it caught me off guard, to say the least. And I'm not saying it was my fault. I'm not saying I could have changed anything. But I think at the root, there's got to be a deep loneliness. And one of the things you could do, or that somebody could do if somebody else is lonely, is just, hey, I'm here if you need me, kind of thing. I don't have anything better to say. So sometimes people are like taken aback. They're like, that was pretty direct. And I'm like, I'd rather be pretty direct than look back and go, man, I wish I'd said anything. So that's kind of how I operate sometimes. Yeah. But that got to a dark place, but I hope everybody's optimistic for 2025 and looking forward to it. And
but before we get into 2025, let's do a little assessment of 2024. Now, you said you looked at last year's.
I made a list. Joe, have you reviewed your promises or not?
I remember two.
Okay.
Of the promises. Did you? But I couldn't remember any of the others.
All right. A little bit of a spoiler. Speaking of January 2nd and everybody getting back to work, 1 hour from now, I have a conference call that I have to be on. So that gives us a little bit of overtime if we need it, but not much. So we gotta cook today, is what I'm saying here, for the last half hour of the show. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
So your resolutions, in no particular order, were your first two focused on health and fitness. One was a very specific drop from 265 to 225. Now, you took drastic measures. You were like, I got this extra organ, don't need it. Boom, going to get rid of it. You started the year with a sickness. You ended with a sickness. Did the flu at the end get you over the finish line to your goal there?
So this is how I would look at that one. I said I would go, I achieved that one at a certain point in 2024.
Oh,
but not at the end of 2024.
You're a recidivist. You went back. You did it all over again, right?
And honestly, it wasn't because I tried anything. It was because I was in the hospital for 10 days and then homebound for 2 months. So, and not eating.
Tubes running out of you, bag hooked up,
so
all
I
the
did
stuff,
get to
right?
225, but I did get to 225, but then I gained it all back.
Okay. All right. Now, I got to admit, I had Chat GPT review our episode and give me these notes. It says Joe highlighted a need to prioritize physical health, considering various activities such as boxing. Was that something you were considering? Were you gonna box?
No.
No. Okay. Well, there we go. If there's nothing I've learned or something I've learned in the past 10 years, you just repeat things until they become true. So you failed at boxing. All right. Good.
I failed.
You failed. You had planned to visit at least, I have to highlight that, 2 new reptile shows and explore a
That's
new
another
city.
one. That's the other one that I remember. Yes.
Did you get to 1?
No.
No, 0. 0 for 2. All right. 0 for 2.
I know. And I'm so sorry. I just want to apologize to everyone here listening now and listening on repeat. I am sorry. I am sorry. And honestly, 2024 can go fart in a lake. Really, that's what I think. 2024 was terrible for me.
Oh no!
And it's the first time in my life where I'm saying that, and I'm saying it with strength and belief and confidence. It was a bad year. It was not a good year for me.
All right. I have to say I'm a little sensitive. I won't get too personal, but there's someone in my life that every year the new year rings in and they're like, well, won't take much to be better than last year. And I'm like, at some point, when are you going to do things different and maybe like create a little change rather than, or do you just enjoy complaining? But that's the other person. So, all right, Joe, I don't want to hear year after year though, that it was terrible,
So I have people in my life like that. And I never say that. I've said in the past, every year seems to get better for me.
Yeah.
Every year seems to get better. And I can look back at 2024 and go, yeah, it was great. There were certain things that happened that were great if I just focus on them. But but in all honesty, if I'm being a realist,
you're like, get the hell away. I've had enough.
2024.
Well, I hope we send it right down that river to the lake that you're gonna fart in. To use your expression there.
Have you ever heard that expression?
I don't think so. I was trying to think if I had, and I was going through the sensation of actually farting in a lake, and I was like, I'm just gonna let this be. Okay. Okay.
My assessment of 2024, I'm ready for 25.
All right. Well, that leads into this one. You said you were going to have reflection and gratitude. Seems like that didn't happen a whole lot for this year. Number 5, you wanted to keep a lighthearted perspective, balancing personal and professional goals with humor and practicality, which is, I think you're good at that. But yeah, sometimes life just serves you some particular kinds of sandwiches that aren't that fun. You had a rough go. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly a good year for me.
All right.
And it was there was a little I was derailed. And that's another thing too. Like I don't like admitting the circumstances can change what I think about how a time is, like I make the time good. I make the time happy. I make the time grateful. Like that's me. I can do that.
Right.
No matter what the circumstances are. But the circumstances of this year seem to have been so overpowering that I'm having a hard time doing that.
Well, little sidetrack. I just noticed the middle album on the 3 that you have tacked to the wall. Is that the Rolling Stones' Some Girls?
Yeah, that's right.
You're on the right path, man. That's what you need. There you go. If you look, that's step 1. Like go,
Yeah.
have a little communion at the church of Mick and Keith and see how it goes. You know,
and this is this is great stuff. Like we worked on this room, we created this room. I work out of this room. We went on a terrific trip. It was
around the world.
Yeah, yeah. So there were some really great times. It was just not. Everything else seemed to kind of. Yeah, and then getting the flu right at the end of the year, it was appropriate.
That was a little cherry on the cupcake that was served to you this year. All right.
Now, what about you?
Yeah, real quick recap. I had my first resolution was to stay self-employed and not take not have to go quote get a job. I have jobs, so it's not like I'm not working, but to stay independently, fully self-employed for 365 days. I did that to varying degrees of success, but the bills are paid. My net worth grew, assets grew. Check mark. Happy. I can't complain about that. My number 2 one. I really wanted to work on improving my health, particularly cardio fitness. Here and there. I probably, I don't know, at best probably flatlined. I really enjoy cycling. I did get out quite a bit when the seasons were nice this year, but then of course, like you lose steam, or you get busy, or you don't make time for stuff, you know. So I don't know, so on that one. I plan to reset some habits, do a dry January. I think I did a dry 3 weeks. I don't remember what it was, but I got to around the 21st, and I was like, I think I'm gonna have a glass of wine with dinner. I don't think it was anything terrible, but if January was the goal, I did not succeed on that. I had philosophically, I said I really wanted to focus on enjoying the moment. I do think I did pretty well at that. Like this year felt long, and not like long, like suffering. It just felt long. Like I did a lot. And I was like, that's a good goal. Like that for me, for all the reasons I talked about earlier, that's a good litmus test of like, okay, that's pretty good. Then, and then let's see. I really wanted last year to be a year of getting in. You have to remember, a year ago, I'd only lived in Minnesota for a couple months. Like it was just a whirlwind of things. So I'd really wanted to experience like the local scene, the local culture, music, food, the lakes in the summer, all that. I did none of that. I sucked at that. I was terrible at that. I got
really.
Yeah, I didn't go to a lake this summer. I didn't go to. The only live music I went to was either some open jams that I did okay at, but like I didn't go to like there's an iconic club, First Avenue in Minneapolis. I mean, it's world famous. And how in the world have I lived here 15 months and not stepped foot in First Avenue? Like,
yeah,
so, and I think we went out. I think I went to 2 restaurants in the cities this year. So yeah, it wasn't great on that front.
Do you think that's just your age?
Yeah, probably. Well, and I don't know. I've taken on a lot. I got a lot stacked up. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Do you have less interest in doing that?
No, it's actually kind of on my list again this year to revisit that. But to your point, like I'd rather hang out and play chess and watch football with my son. Like it's the old, you could do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want. I can't go out to First Avenue and party till 2 a.m. And then expect to get my son up to school the next day or get up and do this show. Or I don't know. So yeah, so some things just I still like them, but they just take a little bit of a different pecking order in my life. And there's a safety factor. I don't. it's a challenge to go out and then have, 25, 35 miles to drive on an interstate. I mean, you just start to, talk about living and wanting to stay on the world. Like you start doing some math going, even if I'm great, who else is on this interstate at 12:30 in the morning, leaving downtown Minneapolis? Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't want, so I overthink some of that stuff, and maybe I make it an excuse, but no, I wasn't great at that. So I wasn't disappointed. I did a lot of travel, doing all these vending shows. One of the cool things about vending is that you get out. I had never been to Kansas City. I'd never been to Fargo. Like I went out and explored those towns, and small amount in those evenings. But so I mean that part of it I really liked. But no, I still haven't cracked the really full Minneapolis enjoyment. It sounds crazy, but what I really want to do is like send Charlie to his grandparents and take Kelly and maybe some friends up to the city for a weekend and do 2-3 nights in the city and really do it up. That's what I need to do. But it sounds crazy to be like, we're taking a vacation to Minneapolis. It's like I drive there to FedEx a few times a week. It's a little bit weird to do that, but we could have just as good of a time doing that here as say driving to I don't know, Chicago or wherever. Like you just do it right here. So anyway, so that's the recap from last year. What do you got looking forward, Joe?
So of course, so I wrote down a few things here. So again, health, but probably a more realistic view of health because I didn't.
Did you decide to lower the bar? You're like, let me lower the bar on my health a little bit.
You could all of a sudden have appendicitis and have an infection for a few months. So I'm going to take that into account, and I'm going to go 240, not 225, 240, but maintain 240 throughout the year. I'm going, I'm going to say. Maintain, get to a certain point, get to 240, and then maintain for the remainder of the year. Let's go 85% of the year at 240.
Wow,
so that's what I'm going to say. That's
still a big chunk. So
once I reach 240.
Oh, then 85% of the time.
85%.
What if you reach it on like December 20th?
Well, then I'm still okay.
All right. So there's the finite thing. So if you want, since you put out the goal, what are you currently at? If you care to share.
I actually don't know. I think probably I'm probably the same weight as I was last year, 265.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, good luck on that. How you
but that's over. So now, but that's a part of an overall health thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a primary care physician at the moment. So that's one of the things that I need to do. I need to go to the doctor 2 times this year, at least 2 times this year.
I suck at that too, man. Oh, geez.
So I had one. They turned out to be terrible. I dropped them. And then the appendix thing happened. And I was like, I've seen so many doctors. I don't want to do any doctors anymore. So then. So I have to get a doctor. I got to go twice.
All right.
At least. Okay. Now professionally, I want to take, since I started to teach in the classroom again, professionally, I want to move towards that because I love it so much. So, and the way that I'm moving towards that is I need to make myself more marketable to colleges to hire me. So what I need to do is I need to add to my credentials. So I need to take graduate courses in other areas.
Are you going to become Dr. Joe?
I'm not going to become Dr. Joe, I don't think.
No?
But I am going to up my my graduate credits in other fields. So I've actually applied to USF, and I was accepted for a non-degree seeking, which is really easy. And then I'm going to start taking a class this semester. So I need 18 credit hours in another in another humanities in order to be hired full time somewhere.
Okay.
So I'm going to work towards that over the next couple of years.
Wait,
So
did you say full time?
Well, yeah, eventually.
Ooh,
I mean,
nice. Okay, I see it. No,
because
I'm peeking behind the curtain here. I like it, man.
it is like, of course, we're making huge strides with the accounting firm. We've hired a CPA, another CPA, where we just took on another firm in Dunedin that we'll start with on the 6th. Like, we're really, really growing, and I want to achieve certain goals there. But in terms of my own profession and what I love to do, I really want to take steps towards doing what I really love to do. And that's inspiration from people like you and being around this community as well, as just taking the steps to take a bite out of what you really want to do. And I just love teaching so much. So, and not teaching at anywhere else other than the college level.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing there.
All right.
And then I have 2 trips that I want to take.
Where are you going to go?
One is a Midwest trip. So
I like the sound of this. We might need a proper brands board meeting of advisors. I think I think we should make this year's board meeting in the Minneapolis metro area.
That's when you said that, I was like, oh, okay, because Chelsea and I were discussing this, and I want to get back to Chicago. I haven't been there in a few years, and I lived there for a little bit. And I just love that town, so I want to get back to Chicago, and then I want to visit Minneapolis. I want to visit you, and then visit Minneapolis. So and get to know that city. So when you said, "Oh, I'd really like to just go into the city and spend," maybe we're the friends that you can go and do.
You are the friends. You are the friends. I would do that. All right, so. You said 2 cities, or one trip. So Midwest, and then where?
Well, it was just so I'm an Eagles fan. Chelsea is a Bills fan, and the list of teams just came out for who the Bills are playing next season, and the Bills are playing the Eagles in Buffalo.
Wow, in Buffalo. Yeah. You're gonna do you're gonna drop the elbow through a table on fire or anything?
Maybe Chelsea will.
Maybe Chelsea.
Eagles fans don't do that.
Well, and
we're too sophisticated.
Yeah, well, I got some experiences with Eagles fans, but that's a whole different show. Chelsea's way too smart to go jumping through a table. Like, women are far smarter than men. Like, I mean, you two are the personification. She's the doctor, but man, holy cow. Yeah, I'm gonna take the under on the odds of Chelsea jumping through a table. But if she does,
we'll see.
You will. Yeah,
I mean, when in Rome, you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Enough. I don't know. What do they drink in the cold winters there? Dr. McGillicuddy's peppermint schnapps, to stay warm in the parking lot, and enough of that'll do anything, All right.
So those are the things that I want to do this next.
That would be cool. That will be cool. Oh, Phillies and Bills in Buffalo. Yeah. Is it like good cold weather? Like, isn't the depths the winter?
It's not,
or is it like late August?
Yeah, it's not scheduled. It's not
okay.
Scheduled.
Okay.
So the schedule isn't out. It's just the teams that the teams are playing. So those are the 2 trips. But I do want to. I want to travel a little bit more, and I want to get myself into a position where I'm doing really what I want to do, which is teach.
Yeah, good for you. And like more than just good for you. Like that's like fulfilling stuff. Good for you as well. Yeah. Like really good for you. Not just like good for you. Not a Philly good for you, like a heartfelt good for you.
Really good for you. Come on now.
Did you have more? I think you got 4 and 5 to give, or not? Or is that it? Were those?
No, that's it. That's all I had.
Okay, so the sub ones there. All right, I think those are attainable, man. You should be able to pull this off, Joe. Like,
I think so. I think I can do it. You don't want to set the goals too high. You gotta. Yeah, and you got to have a strategy for it.
You do. They got to be attainable. What's the
specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound?
Smart. Okay. Mine, this is something that I think is attainable, and every year I think it's attainable, and every year I miss a little bit. This is one of the things I talked about last year. I like the idea of incremental improvement, and again, with health, we're all, looking into that. We're getting old. We all got body image, blah, blah, blah. One of the most healthy things that exercises that men can do is just simply push-ups. And so I like the idea of doing one more push-up each day than I did the day before. And if you do that for a year, you'll get to where you're doing 365 push-ups a day, which would make me a pretty stout man. I'd be in good shape if I could do that. Right.
Yeah.
And sort of to a comment you made earlier, like getting from 0 to 365 seems pretty tough, but getting one more, I can always do one more, right? So just doing one more each day. Now last year I tried that strategy, and I got to the point where I was doing about 160 to 180 a day, I think. And then, you fall off. And so I got to get there, got to do better.
Do 180 a day?
Yeah. So what I'll do is like, things that are like routine or that I do repeatedly in a day, I'll say, all right, every time I do that, I gotta do 20 push-ups. So, what I was doing was, hey, every time I come down the stairs to the snake room, I got to do 20 push-ups. And I would do that. I would get to the bottom of the stairs. I would drop, you got to do 20. And what I found is I started getting really efficient where I wouldn't go up and down. I was like, all right, I'm really going to think about what I need to go upstairs for before I come back down here again.
To make sure you didn't have to do the push-ups.
Yeah. But yeah. So what I'll do, like I'll attach them to certain things throughout the day. Every time you walk into the office or every email I check, or I don't know, whatever, I'll just figure out something to attach them to. So yeah, it's not like, all right, let me crank out 180 in the next 3 minutes.
Right.
It's throughout the day, doing that. And it did help. It did. I did like the results of it. So I'm going to get back to that. I think the ripple effects of that, it's not the push-ups, it's the value of doing them, all around. So there's that. It's a really hard thing to state, especially with my waves of grumpiness that I go through. I really, really want to focus on not complaining. Just the more time I spend on this planet, what a waste complaining is. Like it just, and some people just thrive on it. And I just think, what a waste of time. Like if either fix it or ignore it. If you can't fix it, if you can't do anything about it, then you got to ignore it. Now that works for about 80% of things. If you get cancer, you have every right to complain and you can't ignore it. So there's a place in there, and there's things that we all have that aren't necessarily cancer, but that we all deal with. I do believe everybody's always going through something, but there are some people that are just exhausting with, like, they enjoy keeping notes of how awful things are, and it becomes self-perpetuating. And I really think you find what you seek, and in complaining, you're seeking more crap to complain about, I think. So I'm going to work on that. Aside from our airing of grievances on that show, we can complain all we want.
So how do you measure that though?
I don't know. It's going to be a, I don't know. I don't know how I measure it. I just have to look back and say, did I do a good job or not?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit ethereal, a little more of a ethos than a checklist. I'm going to collaborate even more. I have decided that interacting and collaborating is what we all thirst for. I really enjoy these sessions that we do. I enjoy, I think it works in business from a networking, expansion, growth opportunities come from collaborating. in personal life. Like even like there's studies like even as bad as alcohol is, that we all understand that there's really not much health benefits. Like when I was growing up, it used to be like, oh, a glass of red wine's good for you. Doctors like, nah, even that's nonsense. It's not. But the one place where even doctors and scientists still say alcohol is good for you is that the social interactions and the stress relieving benefits of that cocktail hour, or that get together, or that hangout are very, very valuable and outweigh the negatives that generally can come from having that amount of alcohol. Now, if you drink 14 drinks in a happy hour, you're going to, you're not going to do well.
Negate it. Yeah.
And my point is not the alcohol. The point is the social, and that's a form of collaboration, that interaction. Right. I've sort of taken it as a badge of honor that I keep my head down and I work and I just work. I'm just busy, blah, blah, blah. Life passes you by when you do that. So collaborating is important to me, and I want to seek out opportunities for doing that. So I got a few things cooking, and a lot of that is just it's in some weird ways, it's almost like a weird like dating thing. Like you don't know if the person's going to want to work with you. If they do want to work with you, how's it going to go in 6 weeks? Do they turn out to be a psychopath? You don't know these things. You got to take a risk, and I don't like risks with my brand. So that's a challenge for me. That's something that it's out of my comfort zone, which is a good place for resolutions to be, right?
Right, for sure.
So I'm going to focus on that. That's going to be a bit of a mantra. I heard somebody talk about, actually it's public. I could say who it is. My buddy, Chris Eaton, Fat Man Nation. He put out he does a whole lot of like comedy entertainment, brand kind of stuff. But he put out a pretty serious video about, internet feedback and sort of being in our own little sphere of being a bit of a public eye and a firebrand and all of that kind of stuff. And it was a pretty human episode that he did, where he talks about just the feedback that you take. And Chris has gone through some crap, to put it lightly. But one of the things he said really hit home. He goes, I had a stroke and I had a leg amputated. I lost the ability to play or perform music. I can't do it anymore. And I'm like, here I am, perfectly able, unstroked, unamputated, and I've just sort of put it on the back burner of and I get so like pragmatic and rational, these things that I'm proud of. Well, if I play music, I can't make as much if I went and sold this or did this in business. And I forget, just like the pure, like outside of my family, the happiest moments in my life have happened either on stage, waiting to go on stage, after we played, traveling with the people that I'm playing with. And I'm like, dude, not everything has to fit on like a net worth spreadsheet or a balance sheet at the end of the year, So I really have kind of realized I was taking some of that for granted. And sometimes you have to. Again, you can do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want. But I'm going to make some space for music this year. And I was pretty inspired by that. So it hit me kind of sideways. I was like, oh man, because as much as I'm like, I haven't done that much, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I could do it whenever I want. Well, I'm sure that's what Chris thought until a stroke came and whacked him in the head, So make the most of it while we got it, kind of thing. Yeah. And then this one is measurable, and it's going to sound tongue in cheek or facetious, but it is completely real. I have got to get myself organized enough to where I could take a damn vacation. All this stuff I have going on, all the things I talk about all the time that I like take this pride, and I got this and I'm working on this, and I haven't had another, I haven't had to clock into a job this year and blah, blah, blah. I can't go anywhere. I can't leave right now. I got live animal, I have farms of stuff, I got a car wash that I got to be nearby if a pump goes down, and I don't know, whatever, I got to build my world a little bit where I could step out of it. And that takes planning, but it also takes trust. And I'm just not that great with that kind of stuff. I don't know why. There's nobody that I interact with that I'm like, this person's going to rob me blind. Of course I can't be here without me. There's nobody in my life like that. It's just a control thing. And, I read all the books. You get more control by being freer and letting go and delegating and be the CEO of your life rather than the employee of your life and all of that. I got to give it a go. And I know there's going to be a time where there's going to be little exceptions where I go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. And I'm going to forget that 95% of the time. Otherwise I should have done it. So anyhow, I'm going to work on that, but I do say a lot, like if I'm going to be owned by something, like I chose this life because I wanted to be free from feeling like I was owned by my job. Sometimes I feel like I'm owned by it again. And the fact of the matter is I can make way more money being owned by a high-end golf club than I can being owned this way. And I don't want to go back to that. I don't miss it. Not one bit. I love what I'm doing, but I have built myself I've painted myself into a corner a little bit where I am a little bit owned by this stuff. So I've got to loosen those chains, so to speak, to keep up that analogy a little bit this year. So taking a vacation will be the measurable, that's the measurable metric. Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the strategy would be have people around you that you can trust, that you can entrust your business to in order for you to go on that vacation.
Well, and even taking that 1 point further, because farther is actual distance further, is systems and processes that are replicable. That's how you get to take a vacation, is showing other people, here's what I do, here's how I do it, here are the steps, here are the processes, this is to be followed. And I love saying it. Even if it's a bad process, it's better than no process, because then you can start isolating variables that suck. If you just winging it willy-nilly, you never can identify what's wrong. So even when somebody's like, this is a dumb idea, I can go, I don't care. That's how we're going to do it until I can identify the problems with it. So there. So yeah, that's the ticket. That's the ticket for me.
All right, we got some work ahead of us, I think.
I know, man. I know. Yeah, these resolutions are overwhelming. I want to go back to no push-ups, lounging around, not go anywhere, and just have another year pass us by. That's the easy way to do it. No, we won't have that. I won't do it.
Well, thanks again for a great year of Thursday mornings. This is.
Can we resolve together to be here in a year together still? Heading into our third, we would be heading into our third year. Could you imagine?
Be nuts. That'd be nuts. I still find this like new to me.
I know, right? And that's the thing.
That I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just this cool thing that we're doing. And it's funny because it was a bit of a vague memory to begin with, but I still remember sitting on your porch being like, we should do a show together. And you're like, yeah, I don't know what that would look like. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you, pal, here's how it's going to look like. But I didn't say, that was like months later when I was like, all right, I'm calling Joe. I'm going to figure this out.
This is, let's resolve to be here in a year and see where we're at. And we have to, we got to go. We have to be better than we were, or I have to be better than I was this past year.
Oh, we should. We can make that a we pronoun. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right, Joe, my advice to you is to put on some stones, take a little ibuprofen, have some coffee, do a push-up, and happy 2025, my man.
Two push-ups.
It's true. It's the second day. I got to do 2. Get cracking.
All right, dude.
right, man. I will. I'll see you
later.
next week, audience. Thanks for sticking around. Check out the sponsors if you don't mind. The links are down below. They're great people, and I do need their support. And I've got we got good guests lined up for Proper Royals Live. Got a few changeovers, realignments coming on some advertisers and business and opportunities. So stay tuned. Happy 2025 to you all out there as well. See you, Joe.